Absolutely.
So Sean Bollettieri, you run this incredible facility out here in Newport Beach, California. We've got the ITA Fall Circuit final weekend going on. Tell us a little bit about this event and why you wanted to host.
Well, first of all, I think during these real trying times, it's really our duty, those of us who are organizers, club owners, to provide an opportunity for these players to be out there. And without UTR, this would have never happened. So my hat goes off to UTR first for allowing this opportunity for kids and pros worldwide. And with that said, we are also blessed to be able to have all our players to have an opportunity to go and actually test their skills as they're training throughout the year. Because we all know that these tennis kids worldwide, they don't stop practicing no matter what.
Right.
So we're really blessed to be able to do that.
And I mean, with what's happening with college recruiting right now, and earlier this week, the NCAA announced that it's extending the dead period through April now. You know, these kids aren't getting the opportunity to kind of, as you said, test their skills and have college coaches be able to watch that. So how valuable is it, in your opinion, that the kids are getting to play against college players who can then go back to their coaches and say, hey, I played this amazing kid this weekend, we really need to look at her for our team?
Now, I'm glad you brought that point. During this time, I've reached out to some of my friends who are coaches at some of the best universities in the country, along with our local universities that are, Division 2s and Division 3s, about this topic. And number one, I really like to make out a point that I ask these coaches also the same three questions. What do you look at when you're recruiting now? Has your recruiting process changed? And what should a player or parent know during this recruiting time? And they basically said, look, we use UTR as a starting point. It's not everything.
Right.
So when these kids see themselves losing to a UTR lower, it's not end of the world.
Right.
That's the starting point. And the second thing is that they see how you compete in these UTRs against other players who's maybe a little bit older than you, that are already in college and they may have seen them play before, and see really where your level's at. Because you can see a name and a ranking, but if you don't see how they compete with players that you don't know, you really don't know where to look at.
Right.
So once again, UTR has brought this opportunity. And that being said, they also said that's just a starting point. UTR is not everything.
Yeah.
They have to see the players, see how they behave, if they withdraw back draws, if they finish the tournaments, if they're doing a lot of defaults. All that really matters to them. And the subject came about USTA rankings, and I asked them, how much does USTA rankings weigh these days? And not all, but I could say the bigger schools, they say that they don't look at the USTA rankings. They don't look so much even in tennis recruiting, although a lot of them do, but it just shows how this period of, pandemic, we saw organizations like UTR blossom. We all saw worldwide tennis having a boost, which is really exciting. And maybe this will also give time to those other organizations that have been around for many years to rethink things and do some things differently to help the players. So these are really good times, I think, for our sport.
Right, and it is an opportunity for innovation for sure, and I've been talking about that a lot on Parenting Aces and trying to highlight some of the companies and individuals out there who are using this as an opportunity to do something different, to grow the sport in a way that's unique and not status quo, and thinking outside the box and all of that. Certainly these ITA, first the summer circuit, now the fall circuit, and then upcoming winter circuit, is one of those unique kind of pivots that's happened where now college players are competing not only against junior players, but also against players on the pro circuit, as we're seeing in your top seed out here in the women's draw today.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, we have our top seed here, Kayla Day. Number 2 seed is Elvina Kilieva, who's one of my players, so I'm obviously biased a little bit towards her. It's exciting to have these juniors and pros to be mingled with all these college players. And ITA and UTR were also great to be able to collaborate and connect with one another. We hosted the ITA Fall Nationals last year. It was sponsored by Oracle.
I was here.
You were here, great.
Yeah.
Massive tournament, incredible energy. So now that UTR is kind of taking that top spot, I'm thrilled that ITA is doing this. And I really say to all the organizers, we should continue pushing for this because this is really an amazing opportunity to have ITA at our facility.
Yeah, and let's talk about your facility a little bit. I mean, this place is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How many courts do y'all have out here?
So we have now 20 tennis courts.
Wow.
And we have 20 pickleball courts.
Okay, so I'm just going to flip around a second because we have a pickleball tournament happening out here as well right now. And this is what's going on behind me. Okay, so keep telling us a little bit about your courts and your facility.
So you just complimented my pickleball immensely. Because you said tournament is like this every day. It's not even a tournament.
Oh, it's not?
It's not even a tournament. So it's really, this game's really grown. Now, we started the pickleball here because tennis was in decline and we didn't need 20 courts.
Yeah.
So this has kind of picked up. A lot of our members have moved into pickleball and a lot of our kids during their breaks, lunch breaks, or after their practice, they're enjoying playing a different sport, which makes them also socialize.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, tennis is such a tough sport. It makes you a little bit socially awkward. I think this sport would also help tennis players become more social.
I love that. And it's also a great chance for them to work on like their jump shots, right?
Definitely.
You know, the little choppy short balls. And...
You know, it helps you bend your knees more than anything else, helps you in your volleys. If you play too much, would it affect your game? Yeah, of course it would. You know, the paddles are a lot smaller.
Right.
But for a lot of the players, they're really enjoying it so much more than you think.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I heard that the Orlando USTA Training Center is also putting some pickleball courts, temporary courts. I don't know about permanent courts. This is what I've heard. It's not a factual information I'm giving you. It's third
rumor.
Party. It's a rumor.
It's a good rumor.
But I think it's a good thing because there's a lot of things I would like to see, you know, USTA collaborating on and hopefully making some changes, which I would also love to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, go. Tell us.
So the first thing is I want to make it known that I am a big supporter of the USTA. I'm an American. I played my juniors in the United States. All my facilities that I own from a young age until now has been in the United States. So I'm a big fan of the USTA. And I also know the burden that USTA has with how big the organizations become, with all the liabilities, and they probably have some good reasons of why they have to cancel a lot of the tournaments. So there's sort of a bad rap that they've got this during the pandemic with parents being upset or why they're canceling tournaments. I think they also need to see that they're in a tough spot. On the other hand, I think if USTA was a little bit more, not organized, because they're very organized, if they had less departments to go through and it was more simple, decisions could be made sooner, which could give these players and parents more leeway to plan for different things. A good example is this weekend at tournament USTA, one of them got canceled.
Yeah.
And due to one of them getting canceled, we got all these emails from parents to sign up here last minute, which this is not the first, second, third, or fourth time it's happened during this pandemic. The other thing is, look, US has been in a position to not have as many champions as before. During the heyday when we played, Andre Agassi, Jim Courier, Sellis, and not Sellis, you know, and all the other ones. USTA has been in the business of player development, according to Martin Blackman that I spoke with about a week ago, for 13 years. My question for them is, during these 13 years you've been doing this, how's it going for you? So maybe sometimes step back a little bit and see what else we can do. My message today, the only thing that I want to say about the USTA is, please take more time to work with the private sectors. I know the executives up top, from Martin and his bosses and maybe some lower, feel sometimes it is on track, but being a coach for 26 years, having 17 high-performance coaches and multiple programs in one facility, I can tell you that I don't know one person in my life, and you know my other coaches or friends around the community, that think that the USTA is working with them. What I like about the USTA is that Martin said, Sean, we're not competing with you, we are one team. USA team is one. That would only make me feel good if you're actually collaborating with me.
Right.
That would only make me feel good if you're inviting me and I'm inviting you, accepting my invitation. Not you just showing up without an invitation and saying, here I am. Mm-hmm. Then it's not really collaborating. So it's not that the USTA is doing a poor job. It's just that right now USTA is without a doubt a running like a private organization playing with their player development. One day, hopefully, this is what the players want now. I talked to a player this morning. I won't mention her name because I didn't ask her if I could.
Okay.
But she's one of our top players in this tournament. And she said, I wish also USTA gave me the chance to decide how I spend my money instead of giving me training there or give me a few $1,000s here or there. There's no secret what the salaries are the executives get, the directors, the presidents, the coaches. What if you took half that money as an experiment and don't give it to programs or coaches like us? No. Give it to the parent and the player and let them decide how to spend it.
The parents are yelling and screaming and cheering right now as they're listening to you say this.
I hope so. But
yeah, of course.
Look, the other thing also we believe differently is that there is no player that's going to ever be developed without a crazy parent. And those parents of you that you're watching, that your kids are really good, with all due respect, I don't have a filter sometimes, you're all crazy, okay? This sport makes us crazy.
Yeah.
But show me one player that was developed in history of tennis that did not have a very overly involved parent. So when you go to your federation anywhere in the world, and the federation said parents are not allowed, so now you're working against what's worked in the last 3, 4, 5 decades. That I would love to have an explanation from those federations or the USTA to all of us.
Or the coaches themselves, because
Yes.
frankly, there are a lot of coaches out there who feel like the parents need to stay on the sidelines. And you and I both have seen those conversations on social media.
Yes.
You know, I don't want the parents anywhere near my court. This is my job. Don't come in and tell me how to do it.
Look, I say to those
that.
coaches, I respect you,
Yes.
and I understand you, because if they do that, our job is easier.
Yes.
But don't forget something. We get them only for this much time. You're the one that takes them home to sleep. They wake up, you feed them, you know their habits, you know their mood swings. No matter how long I work with your child, I will not know their mood swings. No matter how much I may be dedicated, there could always be someone else that I will spend more time with. I'm not also here putting down the man I consider my father, Nick Bollettieri, legend of tennis. Look what happened with Nick, with Andre and Jim Courier.
Yeah.
At the French Open, he sat with Jim Courier's box.
Yeah.
So if Jim would have invested everything into his coach and nothing with his family, and then what?
Right.
He would have been stuck. The parent has to be, in our opinion, the number one coach. They have to be involved in every single practice. And if you cannot be involved that much, please don't talk about pro. It's impossible. And for all my students in my own facility and all the boys and girls that play around the whole world with their most incredible coaches that are around, please be real. Don't be 14, 15 years old and said, I'm going to play pro when you have not played a junior Grand Slam and got to semifinals or quarterfinals, because 80-90% of them have. Are there exceptions? Yes. 1%. You want to be part of the 1%? Good luck.
Yeah.
Our job is to make sure that you're successful for life. With good character, you become successful in life as mothers and fathers and etc. So I really hope this message helps some people.
I love that, Sean. Thank you so much. And I think this event is so awesome. I love seeing all the mix of levels of play out here. You mentioned that a junior tournament got canceled and y'all all of a sudden got an influx of requests to play. So much so that you have 3 separate draws for the men and 3 separate draws for the women.
Yes.
Can you talk about how that was, like how you decided to run it in that format with the 32 draws instead of just making one giant draw?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing is that UTR, one of their missions is to make sure that players are playing within their own level. And they give you the flexibility to be able to make multiple draws. And ITA was signed off on that. And it was a bigger organization. Maybe it would take 55 departments. It would never happen.
Yeah.
So with that said, we took Kayla Day, which is our top seed, at 11.68. And then we went down, all the way down to 9.68. Because if you're not within a 2-point, then your matches don't really count. So if you're at 9 UTR, you play 11.1 UTR. If the 9-point UTR beats the 11.1 UTR, you get nothing for it. So that was one reason. This also separated some of the very young kids, because it's open to everyone, for some of the older college players. And that being said, yes, we're impressed. We got about almost 200 players. This is nowhere close one of our biggest tournaments. The last 20 weeks, we've had players up to 350, almost 400 players in one weekend. And kids want to play, players want to play. And we have more guidelines in our facility because we're a private club than a private facility where most sanctioned tournaments USTA are held. So another message to the USTA is maybe it's a good time to connect with all private clubs around the country and say, we want to support you. We'll give you some tournaments. Because club got killed the last 20 years with tennis coming on a decline. Not every club can have pickleball.
Right.
We have the permitting for them. Most clubs don't. This is the best time for the USTA to really build bridges with organizations and people who maybe don't really see what their intentions are. I think their intentions are good. It's just the action's missing. So my apologies to any USTA coach, Martin Blackman, national coaches, organization and development, administrators. If I have ever insulted you in any way, if I offended you in any way, my only intention is to work with you and try to make the best American player win a Grand Slam one day.
It's a great goal. It's a great goal. John Bollettieri, thank you so much for taking time. I know you're so busy. You've got so much going on around here, but it's been great talking with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for letting me be here this weekend, too.
Thank you so much.